I'm pretty sure I've got a little bit of magic in me somewhere, because how else would you explain this box that just showed up in the mail? Hi, I'm Meg. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome for those of you who are new. Today, we are going to be talking about this very incredible piece of book mail that I received. But before that, I've got to give you some backstory. So this is not a broken bindings edition of a book. This is something else entirely. This is something that I truly manifested. I put something out into the universe and I won a giveaway, and what I won is in this box. We are going to unbox this together, but first there's quite a bit of lore, quite a bit of backstory, so let me run you through that. If you want to jump ahead to the unboxing, I'll put a time tag here, but for now, let's get into the story. So for those of you who don't know, I have a little bit of a T Kingfisher obsession. Back in October of last year, I listened to this book on audio and absolutely fell in love with it. I became genuinely obsessed with T Kingfisher and the Saint of Steel books. At first, I was worried. I thought, well, not worried, but I tempered my excitement. I thought, this was really great, but who knows if this author is going to be my new favorite? Well, I can tell you, this author is in fact one of my new favorites. Since reading Paladin's Grace, I have read, I believe, 8 other T Kingfisher books, and I'm going to try to rattle them all off to you. Let's do this. So I have read, not in order, Paladin's Faith, Paladin's Strength, Paladin's Hope, and Paladin's Grace. I've read Swordheart, I've read Nettle and Bone, I've read A Sorceress Comes to Call, I've read Thornhedge, and I've read A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking. I believe that's everything, but I also own even more than that. But a really, really quick rundown of the T Kingfisher reading timeline. We already talked about the first thing I read by T Kingfisher was Paladin's Grace, which I absolutely loved. I think this is so fun. This is part of the Saint of Steel series, which follow the paladins of the Saint of Steel, who is a god who has died, and each of these paladins is trying to find their purpose now that they no longer have a god to serve. And these are romantasy books. They also have that classic T Kingfisher horror element, but they are so incredible. I loved each of them. But anyway, I started with Paladin's Grace. Then, while my partner and I were painting this lovely new apartment, I listened to Nettle and Bone on audiobook. I later bought myself a trophy copy. I then read Paladin's Strength on audio, Paladin's Hope on audio, and Paladin's Faith on audio. I later added those books to my collection. For Christmas, I received a copy of A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking from my dad, which I read and absolutely loved. And then, not that long ago, I listened to an audiobook copy of Thornhedge. This is one of T Kingfisher's novellas. I really enjoyed it, but I did also find it on the shorter side, so I think, unfortunately, it might be my least favorite purely because of the length. It's T Kingfisher, so I always want more. Then after Christmas, I was still working at my old job at a bookstore, so I had a discount. I had received some gift cards, which is when I purchased Paladin's Strength, Paladin's Faith, and Paladin's Hope. I also purchased the first 2 books in the White Rat universe, Clockwork Boys and The Wonder Engine. I haven't yet read these, but they are on the top of my TBR. I had pre-ordered a new edition of Swordheart because I think that this cover is absolutely beautiful. I will probably try to get my hands on the original cover as well at some point. I listened to this on audio and absolutely loved it. I was giggling, I was kicking my feet. I love Sarkis and Hela so much. I had a great time. This is also part of the White Rat universe and I loved it. I then listened to A Sorceress Comes to Call on audio. I'd heard some mixed reviews about this one and I'm not gonna lie to you, I loved it. I thought it was incredible, definitely darker, definitely doesn't have the cozy elements that some of the other T Kingfisher books do, but oh my god, it was so incredible. I loved it. I'm just waiting for it to come out in paperback. It comes out in paperback in July, and then I will be adding it to my collection. And most recently, on Indie Bookstore Day, I picked up What Moves the Dead. This will be my first horror T Kingfisher. I've recently been looking into whether or not I want to learn, I want to watch that show, The Fall of the House of Usher, and apparently this is inspired by the original novel, The Fall of the House of Usher, so it felt like destiny. So this is where that book mail comes in. Now, I am genuinely obsessed with these books, but particularly the Saint of Steel books, the Paladin's Grace books. I have been talking about those books nonstop since I read them. I love them so much. And literally, the day that I posted the book haul showing that I had acquired these books, when I talked specifically about how much I love these covers and how these books were getting a little bit challenging to find and I was worried that this might mean that they were getting picked up by a tradition, like by a big 5 publisher, and that they were going to get re-released, but I specifically love these covers and what they're doing thematically. So I talked about that. Not 24 hours later, this gets posted on the Orbit UK site. Truly, it was funny more than anything. That is so hilarious. I cannot even begin to explain to you how funny the timing of that is. And I wanted to not like those new covers because I love these covers, but oh my God, the new covers are so fucking gorgeous. I love this style so much. I think it's so beautiful. So I made it my mission to try to convince Orbit UK to send me those new covers. Now, for context, I am Canadian. I'm Canadian. I'm a small potatoes bookish influencer, but I wanted these books so bad, and I've been championing T Kingfisher so hard. So I knew I was gonna put everything that I could into begging for these books. I posted about them all the time, and I tagged the publisher every time, being like, hey, you wanna send a little Canadian girly those new designs? And then a friend of mine started reading the books because I recommended them. So I was like, hey, Orbit, look at me selling your books. Think about what I could do with these new redesigns. And nothing. I posted about it for weeks. I never heard back from any of my tags, which is fair. I reached out to an influencer friend who's in the UK, and I asked them if they had contact info for someone at Orbit UK so that I could email and send kind of a personal request, a plea, a beg to offer my kidney in exchange for the new books. And they said that unfortunately they don't have any contacts for Orbit because Orbit UK is pretty notorious for not really communicating with influencers and not really doing a ton of influencer collaboration. Not that long after, I had posted something regarding an Orbit US arc, and I tagged Orbit US, and they DM'd me to answer some of my questions. They were really, really lovely. And I was like, hey, totally unrelated, but while I have you on the line, would it be possible for you to put me in touch with somebody at Orbit UK? There are these books that I really want to beg for. And they were like, unfortunately, we don't have contact info with our sister publisher, so unfortunately there's nothing we can do. And I said to my partner, unfortunately, I think I'm gonna have to let this go, and when I have some expendable income, I'm just gonna order myself copies of these books. But on a whim, I had entered a giveaway, and literally 4 hours after I told my partner, I think I'm gonna have to let this go, guess who won that fucking giveaway? So I have in this box all 4 of the new UK edition, newly designed covers of the Saint of Steel books, and I am so excited, and we're gonna open them up together right now. So I won these from a very lovely American creator over on Instagram. I'll put her info here, but she had basically ended up with 2 copies. I don't know exactly how. She bought copies and then pre-ordered. Anyway, it doesn't matter because these are mine, and I'm so excited. Let's open them up together, and you can see oh my God, I'm so pumped. Where does this go? I'm trying to do this on camera, but I'm not really familiar with opening boxes on camera when I'm filming horizontally, so I apologize if this isn't the best view. I'm trying to do this in a way that doesn't dox my address. Okay, I think we're ready. Hang on, hang on, I'm gonna try to adjust the camera. Here, I'll do this. Okay. Are we ready? It's still taped. I think we're in now. I think we got it. All right, round 2. Oh my God, this is so secure. Oh my God, look at them! Okay, hang on. Oh my goodness, and she wrapped them in some tissue paper. She's so lovely. Okay, so just in the order that I'm seeing them. Oh goodness. So this is Paladin's Faith. This is the newest book in the series, and it follows Shane and Marguerite, who is a spy. Here are the details for the cover for Paladin's Faith. I love the dagger, the white rat, the fan is narratively important. This is Paladin's Hope. This is the 3rd book in the series, which follows Piper and Galen. Look at those details. The broken sword is crucial, and those apples are actually narratively significant. I do feel like on the cover of this book specifically, we're missing a 3rd character, and I recognize that the focus is on the couples, but there's a very important third creature in this, and I feel like we're missing them from this cover, but that's okay. Okay, so then let me show you Oh, she wrapped them up so nicely. I'm gonna open them in reverse order because I can see. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. So this is Paladin's Strength. This is the second book, which follows Istvan and Clara. I love them so much. The bear is relevant. I think the rabbit is relevant. I don't actually recall, but oh my god, just look at Clara and Istvan. Sorry, I'm not used to filming horizontally. Look at them. Oh my god, oh my god. Oh, these are so fucking gorgeous. Okay, one more. Are you ready? This is so silly. This is so silly. Oh my god. Okay, hang on, let me get closer. So this is Paladin's Grace. There's Stephen and there's Grace. And look at the hang on this side. Look at the details. Oh my god. And so there's, you know, you've got, they always talk about how paladins are so like knightly and paladinly, and then you've got the perfume because Grace is a perfumer, and you've got her little civet, and just, oh my god, I can't believe I'm holding these in my hand. I can't believe I have these. I can't believe I have these. Holy fucking shit! This is them all together. Look at the colors. Look how beautiful they are. Oh my god, I can't believe that these are in my hands. Listen, shoot your shot. Don't ever give up. Manifesting works. And just, oh my god, holy hell. Oh my god, hey, hang on. Let's look at them side by side. That's such a good idea. Okay, so US cover, UK cover. They both have that purple vibe. So the US cover, what I love is you've still got the civet, you've got the open journal, which is important, you've got the rat, and this whole swirly perfume vibe. And then this one, you have it Stephen and Grace. It feels like a classic fantasy. It's got like, it's not a clinch cover, but it's got that classic vintage illustrated vibe. Just look at them together. And then we have Strength. We've got the bear motif on both. This one's got more of a red, angry sort of desert vibe, and they are kind of walking through the desert at one point, I believe. So that does make sense. You've got the skulls, which are narratively relevant, and the rat. And then in this one, again, you've got more of that romance vibe. I feel like that rabbit has to be important. I gotta reread this book. But the bear, and then just, words cannot express how much I love that they made Clara big. Istvan is the largest, I believe, of the paladins, and Clara is easily his size. She's big, she's strong, and Istvan just fucking loves that, and I love that they didn't shy away from that here. Okay, so this is Paladin Strength. This is Hope side by side. So we've got purple versus blue. This one has this dungeon vibe. The arrow is relevant. The apples, again, you can see the apple details, the rat, the head, yeah, the heads are relevant. And then again, you've got the skull, the apples, the broken sword. Broken sword is narratively significant. And then you've got Galen and Piper, and the two of the way that Galen is like guarding Piper, and that hole, that pit, oh my god. Okay, but there's them together. Gotta hold them in the same order. Okay, on the same side. So then we have Faith. And this one I think has the least relevant elements to the actual story, but also there's a lot here. You've got the rats, you've got the gears, which are important, you've got something that's flowing. It's got more of a fire motif than a water motif, which is interesting. That hand, relevant. There's always severed heads. It's a T Kingfisher book. And then of course we've got the white rat, the dagger, that fan is important. There's a lot of court politics in this one. You've got Marguerite, and you've got Shane, and the flowers, and just these ones, I think these two have the most different of vibes. But oh my god, look at that one. Oh my god. That's so exciting. That's so exciting. I'm realizing that I would be a bad book creator if I didn't give you the synopsis for what each of these books are about. So brief summary, the Saint of Steel books exist in the White Rat universe, which also includes the Clocktar duology and Swordheart, which is currently a standalone but exists in the same world. In this world, we are following paladins of the Saint of Steel. Their god has died, and each book follows a different paladin who is trying to find his or her place in the world now that their paladin is dead. And these are romantasy novels, so in each book we are watching them find their purpose and find love. And they're all so, so good. They definitely have beautiful, sweet, wholesome, cozy romances, but they also have that classic element of T Kingfisher horror, which is just so delightful and such a weird dichotomy that works so well. And I know I own 2 copies of each of these books, but I cannot recommend enough the audiobooks for these. The narrator is absolutely incredible. Paladin's Grace is the first book in the series. It follows Stephen and Grace. Stephen is really, really struggling with the death of the saint. He is convinced that he is going to die. So the Paladins of the Saint of Steel go into what they call the Black Tide, which is a berserker rage, but before, their god was always there to temper that, to make sure they never harmed the innocent. But now that their god is gone, the Black Tide can take them at any moment, and they don't know what they'll do. Stephen is convinced that he is going to have to kill at least one of his siblings when the Black Tide takes them, and he knows in his heart that one of them is going to have to kill him when the Black Tide takes him. And every day, he's just trying to do good and hold out long enough that he can protect his siblings and they can protect him. And it's really deeply tragic. He is a very stoic warrior man who he knits socks for his fellow paladins. He's trying to do as much good as he can. And then you have Grace, she's running from her past. She's working as a perfumer. She's incredibly talented, but she's also trying to fly under the radar. But then she's kind of forced into the spotlight, both because of a chance encounter with Stephen and to try to build her business. But then she catches the eye of her perfumes are involved in something kind of nefarious, and Stephen is investigating some random decapitated heads and decapitated corpses that keep popping up around town, and the 2 of them keep getting drawn into the same situations, and then romance ensues, and I love it so much. Paladin's Strength follows Istvan and Clara. Istvan is another paladin of the saint. He took the saint's death. It's not that he didn't take it hard, but the Black Tide doesn't take him the same way that it took his siblings. He's, I would argue, the most well-adjusted, maybe. He's still got some defense mechanisms, but he's funny, he's open to romance, he's open to sexual experiences, whereas a lot of the other ones are very religiously repressed. Istvan's not so much like that, but he is on a quest to try to track down and gain more information about the creatures that we discover in the first book that link to that whole situation. So while he's questing to try to figure that out, he runs into Clara. Clara she's not quite a nun, but she is a member of the Order of Saint Ursa. I'm not going to tell you too much about Saint Ursa, but this is relevant. But all of her fellow sisters have been kidnapped, and she is doing what she can to try to rescue them. And then she recruits Istvan to her cause. So they are trying to figure out what's going on with the whole decapitated head situation. She's trying to free her sisters who are they don't really know where her sisters have gone, but they're trying to solve that. And then romance ensues. And I love these 2 so much. My one gripe, and again, audiobook, incredible. But my one gripe is that Domina is a title for not quite a nun, but a woman who is part of a religious order. So Istvan calls her Domina, but the way the audiobook narrator does it, it's Domina, which for whatever reason, it tickles my brain the wrong way. I don't like the whole Domina thing, but Istvan and Clara, I love them so much. They are so good. And oh my God. Okay. So that's book 2. Book 3 is Paladin's Hope, which follows Piper and Galen. Piper is a lich doctor, this word. He is a lich doctor he's a wonder worker with an affinity to, when he touches a recently deceased being, he can experience their last moments. So he is a really, really good coroner. He does post-mortem body examinations, and he works really closely with the White Rat, which is the religious order that the Paladins have affiliated themselves with. They're basically lawyers. I can't believe I didn't say that before now, but they're very focused on justice. And he works very closely with them, and he gets roped into helping they're called gnolls. They're kind of like badger people, but he gets roped into helping a gnoll who works for the constabulary try to examine a couple bodies that keep turning up in the river. And then Galen, who is another paladin of the Saint of Steel, gets kind of pulled into this whole mystery as well. The 2 of them are instantly attracted to each other, but they're trying to ignore it. The main reason that he struggles after losing the saint is he has really terrible night terrors, And he can't share a bed. He can't share a tent. He can't sleep too close to other people because he has these night terrors. And if you wake him, the black tide can overtake him. And he feels that he can never get close with anybody ever again because he could never share a bed with them. He could never get close with them because he's so vulnerable at night, and whoever is next to him is in the most danger. But these two, along with their Knoll friend Earstripe, who is the love of my life, they are investigating these bodies. They find a suspicious location, and then they get trapped. And I don't want to reveal too much more about that, but there are interesting labyrinth puzzle shenanigans, and this is the shortest of the books, and I do find that it's maybe the weakest of the four so far, only because of length. I love this book. I love the traps. I love the characters. The last line of this book, I want it tattooed on the backs of my eyelids. Like, the last line of this book lives rent-free in my head because it is so goddamn incredible. I think about it at least 3 times a week. But anyway, this book is, because it's the shortest, it primarily takes place in one location, and it happens on a much tighter timeline. It doesn't have, it's that little, but again, I love Piper and Galen so much, and again, that last line, like, this is still a 5-star read. They're all 5-star reads, but like, of the 4, if I had to pick my least favorite, I think it would be this one, but it's by like the teeny tiniest, it's still so, so good. And then lastly, we have Paladin's Faith, which follows Shane and Marguerite. Marguerite is a spy. We were introduced to her in the first book. She has since vanished, but she's gotten kind of pulled into some spy shenanigans. She's having a bit of a tough time. So she makes a deal with the Rat to try to infiltrate this court, gain some information, acquire this wonder worker, and then the Rat is going to protect her from all of the spy organizations that she's pissed off. The Paladin that she's assigned to work with is Shane. Now, Shane is particularly fucked up of all the Paladins because he has lost his god twice. Shane was originally supposed to serve the Dreaming God, which is a god whose purpose is to fight demons, but that god never called him. Then he got called by the Saint of Steel, and the Saint of Steel died. So Shane has some self-worth issues. He has some identity issues. He's having a bit of a tough time finding his purpose because this whole Paladin thing doesn't seem to be working out that great. I thought that Shane was going to be my least favorite of the Paladins. That whole really stoic, really like the low self-worth. I wasn't sure how I was going to click with him, but oh my God, Marguerite pulls him out of his shell, and his nihilism, like his tone is so dry and hilarious, and he grew on me so quickly. And this story, I have the most thoughts about this story. There's the way that this all plays out. Holy shit, this book is a ride, and so much happens. And this book does a really great job of setting up, because there are 7 Paladins who survived the death of the Saint, and we've only gotten 4 of their stories, so we're gonna get 3 more. And this book has set up 2 of those stories in a way that has me gnawing on the bars of my enclosure, waiting for news about the next book, because I don't even know which Paladin we're gonna get next, but the potentials for all of their stories are going to be so good. Okay, but anyway, this book, I have the most thoughts on the ending, and I love, like, it's so good, but I need to do a spoiler-filled video about these books, and I need to analyze the shit out of them. But for now, that's the premise of book 4. That is that's my pitch for you should read the Saint of Steel books. You got to see me open these books and cry. Give me 1 second. I need to show you all of the T Kingfisher books that I own. Here they all are. I can't even put them all again, but this is the collection so far. I am so excited. I truly love these books so much. At some point, I want to collect the UK editions of the Clock Tower War duology. I'm going to be picking up A Sorceress Comes to Call as soon as it's out in paperback. That next book that T Kingfisher has coming out, Hemlock and Silver, whatever it is, Hemlock and Silver, it will be pre-ordered post haste. I need that book desperately. But yeah, that is it. That's the T Kingfisher collection. That's the lore. That is the backstory of my magical ability and how I somehow manifested these books of my heart. Oh my God, this video got long, but okay, we'll leave it there. There you go. Bit of a T Kingfisher deep dive. If you want to know more about the standalone books that I talked about, A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking, Nettle and Bone, and A Sorceress Comes to Call, let me know in the comments. I am happy to film another video talking about those. I would love to do a video ranking my favorites of each book. I want to do a video ranking the books in the White Rat universe and doing a deep dive into all of those. And then I want to do a separate video looking into the standalones that T Kingfisher has. I also, now that I'm starting to dabble in their horror books, I want to, once I've read some of their horror novellas, I want to talk about those. Anyway, the well for T Kingfisher is vast, and I'm having a great time, and I highly recommend their books. They feel cozy, but they have those horror elements. The plots always have stakes. The romances are always so fun and delightful. The characters leap off the page. The audiobook quality is always incredible. The characters are so creative, and T Kingfisher has this voice. Their writing is so, the words are so intentional. They're musical, they're immersive, the world feels rich and fleshed out, and the characters are always so funny. Every element of these books is incredible. I love T Kingfisher with my whole heart, and I will leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy this and you want to see more bookish content from me, and I don't know why I did that, but have a great day.